You can catch it on Monday through Friday, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, only on FS1. Back here with Chris Mannix, and we're talking Boston Celtics. They've dropped 4 of their last 6, 5th place in the East. And now, according to reports, they are prepared to offer literally anyone on the roster for Anthony Davis this offseason. And that includes Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. What do you think, Mannix? Should the Celtics blow up their roster to trade for Anthony Davis?
Can I just real quick? You reported this on this show 2 weeks ago, right?
Weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, and now it's just being further reported. But I just wanted to give you credit because you said this report on this show 2 weeks ago, and now someone else is also
basically what the Celtics did was they didn't directly say you could have Jason Tatum, but made the Pelicans aware that everyone was on the table. The funny part about the Anthony Davis situation is that it has absolutely nothing to do with Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis, we know, can't be a free agent until 2020. Whatever team he gets traded to, he's going to play for. This is entirely a Kyrie Irving situation. If the Celtics re-sign Kyrie Irving, or are told by Kyrie before July 1st that he is going to re-sign, they are going to go all in for Anthony Davis. And that does mean Jason Tatum, draft picks, Jaylen Brown, whatever it takes to get Anthony Davis on this roster. But it has everything to do with Kyrie. If they don't get Kyrie Irving, I'm not sure they put a substantial offer on the table for Anthony Davis, because they can't run that type of risk. I think, and this is more speculation, but I think if Kyrie says, I'm out, I'm going to go somewhere else, I think their plan B is to go down this path with their young guys, re-sign Terry Rozier, and try to build that way.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, if Kyrie leaves, the Celtics will not make a realistic offer.
Not one that includes Jason Tatum for sure.
And but if Kyrie stays, what's the type of offer you think that they make if Kyrie's there?
I think there are 2 types of offers. One would be Jason Tatum and a little bit less of the sweeteners that are involved. Like, you can get the one guy that everybody agrees is the best player available out there, or you can take a Jaylen Brown-centric package and a whole bunch of draft picks. The Memphis pick, maybe there'll be a Clipper pick in that mix.
So you think the Tatum package wouldn't include the good draft picks?
No, I think it ultimately would, but I think their first offer would be, look, I just don't, I've said this before to you guys and I've written it, they're just not going to be outbid. So if the Pelicans came back and said, this is what it's going to take or else we're going somewhere else, I think the Celtics would throw all those picks in there. And look, Danny Ainge has been willing to go deep on stuff like this before. Some stuff that hasn't even gotten done. You remember where would the Celtics be if the Charlotte Hornets a few years ago took the trade offer?
They offered 4 first-round picks for Justice Winslow.
For that pick that ultimately was Frank Kaminsky.
Right, but they wanted Justice Winslow.
Right, they want the 9th pick in the draft.
Good job, Michael Jordan.
they've been...
Can't get 4 first, meaning Kaminsky.
One was one of the Brooklyn picks, too. It was insane. In there. But, the point is, Danny Ainge's been willing to go all in on situations like this before. I think he'll do it again.
How much has Tatum hurt his stock?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Zero. Well, this whole... I don't think... Look, Terry Rozier might be the exception. I don't think Jason Tatum has hurt his stock all that much. I don't think Jaylen Brown has hurt his stock all that much.
How could Jaylen Brown not have hurt?
Because I think people across the league understand that this season has been a strange one in Boston. And Nick, you keep putting numbers up there all the time. You keep graphicking me to death, if that can be that can be a word. Jaylen Brown in the postseason last year, you know what his numbers were?
Tell me.
18 points per game, 47% from the floor, and close to 40% from 3.
Yeah.
Those are real numbers. That's an 18 game. It's not a small sample size. That's an 18 game sample size. We're talking about a player for the first 2 years of his career was in back-to-back conference finals and contributing to both teams. That stuff matters to the executives that watch the games and say, in big-time situations, this guy's proved himself to play well. Everybody is a mess on that Celtic team this year. The entire team is discombobulated.
But that's got to matter then. Hold on. We saw that the New Orleans Pelicans thought the Lakers offer, which was all the young guys and draft picks, was not enough. So I just want to know, because I do not know Danny Ainge, with the exception of offering the 4 first-round picks for Justice Winslow, to ever overbid for a guy. That's not his tendency, is to lose a trade or to overpay. I just want to know, I'll show you the Lakers' young players, leave Lonzo out of it because he's hurt, compared to the Celtics' young players. And I know you don't love those are per game numbers now. And you say Jaylen Brown was 18 points per game in the playoffs. So there's an 18-game sample. This is a 60-game sample, but whatever. I'll give you the per 36 stats because you would tell me those are more important, more relevant. Show them the per 36. okay, if for the Pelicans, Ingram, Kuzma, and Ball and picks wasn't enough, how do the Celtics trump that unless it's Brown, Tatum, and a bunch of picks?
I don't know if it was not enough, because I think that the Pelicans doing what's best for the franchise is by getting more teams involved. So that might have been enough if you didn't have the potential that, man, Boston had called me. And I like their younger players a little bit better than I like the Lakers players. So allowing Boston to get through the trade deadline to get to the point where they can go. Because for me, this is about Danny Ainge got one move. We've been talking about, when's he going to do it? When's he going to do it? When's he going to do it? And I just believe that one move, Anthony Davis is a special enough player that I believe he'll give all those draft picks and everything if he's able to keep Kyrie, because Anthony Davis-Kyrie combination would be special.
I agree that I don't know that the Lakers offer was not enough. I think it was the Pelicans want to see what else is out there. And that's a smart play by the Pelicans to do that. But, Nick, how do you not include the situations in this stuff? Like the Lakers are a losing situation right now. Brandon Ingram's not playing behind anybody. Jaylen Brown is playing behind multiple guys. Jason Tatum is now the, at times, fourth scoring option on that team, at least third on most nights. That has to be factored into
but that's where, to me, the efficiency and the field goal percentages matter. Because if you are the fourth option, guess what? Defenses are not scheming around you. You should be getting a lot of open shots.
Yeah, but I can counter that argument, too, by saying, like, you're doing a lot of standing around as a fourth option, playing off Kyrie Irving, standing in the corner, shooting open jump shots. Look at the shot selection for Jason Tatum this year.
Sitting in the corner, shooting open jump shots is
that's not everybody's game. Like, that's not what everybody can do. Not everybody's built to, it's like with the Lakers. Not everybody's built to play off of LeBron James. Brandon Ingram struggled with that early in the season. Luke Walton said he's got to be more of a cutter. He's got to get to the basket, hands up. It's a style of play as much as the shots.
Listen, what we can't do, though, because I have been consistent on Brandon Ingram. I think, and now I give him credit for his last 2 weeks. His last 2 weeks, he's been quite good. I thought Brandon Ingram coming out of college was an overrated prospect. I thought Brandon Ingram going into this year was an overrated prospect, even though I think the LeBron and AD would be a great pairing. At no point have I been like, you know who's a great prospect? Brandon Ingram. I'm not making that case. But what we can't do is make every case the one that fits for the Celtics. We can't talk about how much better players are under Brad Stevens and then fail to acknowledge that could actually hurt the Celtics in trades. That you see Avery Bradley leave, and it's like, he's not that good. Jay Crowder leaves, and he's not that good. And so what would Jaylen Brown be when he's not under Brad Stevens? We can't say the playoffs matter, but the regular season don't. It doesn't matter. We can't say when both of these guys' three-point percentages dropped 7 points from last year in Tatum and Brown, that their stock doesn't drop. Your stock, in my eyes, your stock does drop when that happens.
Your stock might drop, but also when you look at people that are looking at basketball, you can't dismiss the playoff minutes. And the reason why we don't talk about it with the Lakers, because they don't have any. So you have to be able to bake in the most pressure situation, what did they do when their team was not their most athletic? They weren't their most talented. These young players stepped up in those. Imagine if we had Ingram averaging those 18 points
in the playoff series.
That would change the story.
Total games.
If we had Kuzma had gone through 18-game playoff and he had averaged 18, it would change that. So I'm sure that NBA teams not only looking at Boston has better picks. Boston typically have one better prospect, not two. They have one better prospect. And that time spent, you have to keep hope that Jaylen Brown, like other players in our environment, he can get back to that level or be a little bit better.
I just want to ask you one other question. Let's say Kyrie leaves. Why, for the Celtics, do you think they still wouldn't go all in on Anthony Davis and say, you know what? We'll convince him to stay?
Because I think it's too big a risk given the amount of assets that would have to be included, including those draft picks. You have to it's almost like live to fight another day. You let that pitch go by and you wait to see who else comes available, because invariably somebody else becomes available.
Then we'll hear that the real target was Giannis in 2022.
It's Giannis, but I wouldn't trade Jaylen Brown for him. That's clear right there. I'm back in on Jaylen Brown. 18 points per game in the playoffs.
Maddox coming up. Did LeBron ruin the Lakers' chemistry?
This close.
First things first.
No, to Jaylen Brown. I think he has
Didn't
this
play
many.
well.
I think he has this